Before we dive into this suspenseful story, please drop a comment with your city so we can see how far it reaches. And if you enjoy the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It started with something so ordinary, it could have happened to anyone. Alicia was walking into the lobby of the hotel she had poured her heart into building, the kind of space meant to embody elegance, comfort, and a piece of her legacy. To every guest, it looked like just another grand property, with polished marble floors and a chandelier that seemed to breathe light into the room. But to Alicia, it was proof of every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every battle she had fought to earn her place in a world that often tried to shut her out. She wasn't prepared for what came next. Two men in stiff uniforms stood waiting near the entrance. They didn't smile, didn't nod. They didn't see the owner of the building walking past them. They saw something else. And in a matter of seconds, everything shifted. Alicia's life before that moment was nothing short of a relentless pursuit. From the outside, she was the definition of success. A black woman who had broken through barriers to become the CEO of her own luxury hotel. Inside the walls of her office, she carried herself with quiet pride. She wore tailored suits that spoke of confidence, heels that clicked across polished floors with authority. But beneath it all, she carried scars. The kind that never faded. The kind etched by years of being underestimated, second-guessed, and overlooked. Her hotel was more than a business. It was her dream made real. Every chandelier, every velvet chair in the lobby, every detail had been carefully chosen by her hand. It was not just a place for travelers. It was a symbol of resilience, a monument to the countless times she had been told she would never make it this far. She moved through the halls not just as a boss, but as a host. She knew her guests by name. She remembered staff birthdays. She treated the space as an extension of herself. That night, the lobby gleamed under soft golden lights. Guests checked in with laughter, dragging suitcases across marble tiles. Alicia had stopped to greet a family by the reception desk when she noticed two new security guards by the entrance. Men she hadn't hired, faces she didn't recognize. They stood rigid, watching her with eyes that seemed more like walls than windows. She dismissed the thought, brushing it aside as overthinking. But then the footsteps began. Heavy, steady, deliberate. She turned, and there they were, closing in. "Excuse me, ma'am," one of them said, voice low but firm. "Guests are not allowed beyond this point." Her brow furrowed. Guests? The word hung in the air like an insult. She pulled out her card, embossed with her name and title. CEO. "This is my hotel," she wanted to say. But the words tangled with disbelief. How could they not know? How could they not even consider? When she did finally speak, her voice carried no anger, only steady clarity. But they weren't listening. To them, the card was a trick, a prop. To them, she wasn't who she claimed to be. And as one guard reached for her arm, the weight of 100 moments of quiet discrimination came crashing down in a single humiliating gesture. The lobby froze. Guests whispered. Phones appeared in trembling hands, recording. Staff members looked on, their shock battling with fear. Alicia stood at the center of it all, not as the CEO she had fought to become, but as a woman stripped, bare by prejudice. And in that moment, one question echoed louder than the chaos. How quickly can dignity be stolen, even when you've earned it 10 times over? The guards closed in, their presence overwhelming, their grip heavy on her arms. The polished marble floors beneath her feet suddenly felt like ice, cold and unyielding. Guests gasped, whispers swelling into a low roar that filled the air. Some reached for their phones, recording, capturing the humiliation of the woman who owned the very space they stood in. And then came the breaking point. The sound of something metallic, the clink of handcuffs. The air thickened and the crowd held its breath. A staff member gasped audibly, covering her mouth. The guards were about to shackle the woman who had signed their paychecks, the woman whose vision had built the ground they stood on. In that frozen instant, Alicia realized this wasn't just about her humiliation. This was about the narrative the world was watching unfold. Phones recorded every second, every grimace, every cruel dismissal. This wasn't just an incident. It was evidence. Evidence of how deep the injustice ran. How even success couldn't shield her. How her skin would always speak louder to some than her achievements. And as the cold steel brushed her wrist, the question thundered louder than ever. Would they erase her? Right here in her own lobby? The guards stepped back, their confidence shattered, their voices stammering excuses that no one believed. But Alicia didn't waste breath on them. She stood tall in the center of the lobby, her card still in her hand, her presence unshakable. The silence lingered, broken only by the shuffle of embarrassed footsteps and the low hum of guests who suddenly saw her differently, not just as the woman they assumed she was, but as the owner, the leader, the one in control all along. Minutes later, the guards were gone, their badges confiscated, their authority revoked, their names erased from the staff roster. It should have been satisfying. It should have felt like victory. Yet as Alicia looked around her hotel, her creation, her dream realized in brick and marble, there was no joy in her chest. Only the sting of what had been revealed. How fragile her dignity was in the eyes of others. How quickly the world was willing to strip her humanity away. That night, she walked the same halls she had designed, passing guests who now averted their gaze. Their whispers followed her, but she didn't need to hear the words. She knew what they were saying. Not about the hotel, not about the beauty of the space, but about the moment they had just witnessed. A black woman dragged through her own lobby because some could not imagine her belonging there. For Alicia, the impact was permanent. She returned to her office, closed the door, and sat in the chair she had once filled with pride. But now it felt heavier, colder. She thought about the young staff members who had watched it all unfold, the guests who had filmed, the world outside that might one day scroll past the footage. Would they see it for what it was? Or would they dismiss it as just another incident? She realized then that the true power wasn't in firing the staff, or in proving her ownership, but in refusing to let the story die in silence, because silence is what allows injustice to breathe, to grow, to repeat. And so, she made a choice. To turn her pain into a platform. To ensure that what happened in her hotel lobby wasn't just a scandal quickly forgotten, but a spark, a call for change, a demand for reflection, a reminder that no one is safe from prejudice until everyone is. Because the truth is this, Alicia's story isn't just hers. It belongs to countless others who never get the chance to hold up a business card and demand respect. It belongs to voices silenced in courtrooms, classrooms, offices, and streets. It belongs to the millions who know that no amount of success can erase the target painted on their backs. And as the lights dimmed in the lobby that night, Alicia understood something deeper. Her fight wasn't about saving face or even saving her hotel. It was about standing for every person who had been doubted, dismissed, or demeaned simply for existing in spaces they had earned the right to be in. The question is not whether Alicia proved herself. She did. The question is, why did she have to? And until that question is answered, until society chooses to confront the ugliness behind it, these stories will keep happening. Different faces, different places, the same injustice. So the next time you witness it, the next time you see someone questioned, humiliated, or stripped of their humanity, will you stay silent? Or will you be the voice that finally says,